Hi everyone, I'm Miriam and today we're going to talk a little bit about the basics of nutrition in our first video, because I think that's going to set us up really well for all of the videos that are to come next. One of the most important things to think about in your diet is macronutrients. Macronutrients are those things that we talk about like carbs, protein and fat. They're the three main and most important ones in your diet. There's a lot of strange misconceptions around about each of them. So today I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown on what each of them are and what their role is in your body. That way it sets up a really solid foundation for us to talk about each of them in greater detail. I'm going to start off with carbohydrates. Carbohydrates get a really bad rap. I'm deliberately going to stay away from the to keto or not to keto debate today. But essentially, carbohydrates are your body's main energy source. Without carbohydrates, our bodies actually can't function well. Our brain relies on carbohydrates as a fuel. With anything in your diet, it's about quality and not necessarily as much about quantity. Talking about carbohydrates, I guess, like with anything in your diet, it's as much about quality as it is about quantity. So when I talk about carbohydrates as a fuel for your body, I'm talking about things like brown rice. Eating a cup of brown rice is not the same as eating a slice of white bread. They have really different effects on your body. And in terms of the quality of energy you're going to get a much better fuel for your body from brown rice as opposed to the white bread. So that's, I guess, the most important piece to understand about carbohydrates. And then the next most important piece in the context of sort of understanding fundamentals is really about how you need to match it to your physical activity level. It's one thing to say that carbohydrates are the most important fuel for your body, but if you're not matching how much you're eating to the amount of physical activity or to your riding or to the intensity, in fact, of your exercise, then you're not going to get the best result. The next one I want to talk about is fats. Again, fats comes back into that, what's the best fuel for my body conversation. Fats are also a really important fuel for your body, but what you get in terms of quantity of energy from fats is actually higher than what you get from carbohydrates. The difference being is that your body prefers fats at different times to what it prefers carbohydrates at. I'll get into a little bit more detail on later, but for now, understanding that fats are an important fuel for your body. They're also an important component of your nervous system. So your brain and your nervous system is predominantly made up of fats. And when I talk about fats, I'm largely talking about healthy fats. So we're talking about the fats that you get from, say, eating fish, eating nuts and seeds. Olive oil is a really good fat. Avocados give you really good fat. And then to a lesser extent, you've got your saturated fats, which come from mostly animal products and coconut oil in terms of a plant source and those sorts of places. So we still want those in our diet because they do have an important role to play, but understanding that the best fats to be eating or the fats to be eating in the larger quantities would be your unsaturated fats, like those good fats I mentioned. Finally, the last macronutrient is protein. Protein's one of those ones that everyone thinks more is better. More is not better with protein. Your body can only absorb so much at once. Protein is not used really as an energy source for your body. It's used for muscle repair. It's used to make chemicals in your body that are really important for different reactions, so things called enzymes. We don't want to use it as a fuel. Typically, when you're using proteins as a fuel, it means that you're really undernourished. So what actually happens if you haven't had enough of the other macronutrients is your body then starts to break down your muscle. People who go on really rapid weight loss diets and find that they're losing weight really quickly are actually losing a lot of muscle mass, not just burning fat. And that's because that's when your body does try to use protein as a fuel, and it's not a very good source of fuel. So that's a bit about the basics, and I look forward to chatting to you again soon about each of those in a bit more detail.